All right, we've already talked about number lines this year. This is a number line. You can see it's a line that goes on forever that way. That's what the arrow means. And it goes on forever that way. It passes through the point 0, which is kind of the middle. There's no really middle because it goes on forever. But if there is a middle, it's 0. Because I have negative numbers over here on the left and I have positive numbers over here on the right side of 0. Every number you can possibly think of, every number you can think of, is someplace on this line. Right? It's either negative or it's positive or it's 0. I can place it on there. But here's the thing. Even though my line goes on forever that way and goes on forever this way, it doesn't go up or down. Right? This is a one-dimensional object. It only has one direction, right and left. Right? That's only one direction, really, because they're opposites. Now, if I take another line, another number line, and I make it go up and down, okay, that's not a very straight number line, but you get the idea. Right? And again, I have positive numbers up here. And I have negative numbers down here. Okay, all the way up to infinity and down to negative infinity, passing through 0 right in the middle. Now I have two number lines. And now this can describe a two-dimensional space. There's two directions. There's right, left, and there's up, down. Right? There's two different dimensions here. And now I can describe space, right? I can describe anything on a two-dimensional surface. Like I can describe maps now. I can describe where locations are, this is like a map now, right? This is Google Maps. And in fact, we call this, it's no longer a line, now this is a plane. Okay? This is a plane. A plane just means a two-dimensional surface. A piece of paper is a plane because it has, has an up-down, it has a right-left. A map is a plane. All these things are different planes. And this is, when we put a little grid on it like this, it is called the coordinate plane. Now we're going to talk about what coordinates are and how we can find those and how we can use them. But right here, we're going to pretend right now I want to draw my axes. And again, this is my number lines. So again, my plane is formed when I have two number lines that are perpendicular to one another. One's going right and left, and we call that number line, we call it the x-axis. Okay? X-axis. And the number line that's going up and down, we call that the y-axis. This is vocab you just kind of have to know. All right? I always remember which one's which because the letter Y has a vertical line on the bottom. Right? If you draw a Y, it has a vertical part, which means the vertical line is the Y. X, the letter X does not have a vertical, it doesn't have a line that goes straight up and down. So that's your flat. So here are my y-axis, my x-axis, and you'll see it makes a big old plane. Right? Now, just while we're doing some vocab, there are some other vocab words you can see on the left side I want to talk about. We got the x-axis, the y-axis, right where the two meet, right there at 0, 0, right? Remember, we have negative x's over here and positive x's over here. Negative x's, negative y is down here, and positive y is up here. So right in the middle is 0x and 0y, and that is a very special point called the origin. And think about what that means. It means it's neither positive nor negative for either x or y, right? It's all 0, 0. It's 0 for everybody. So that is what we call the origin, and we'll talk about why we call that the origin. Origin just means to come from, right, to begin. What is your country of origin? It means what country you were born in. And then also we'll notice something else we have here is when we have these two lines, just like if you cut a pie with two lines like this, you'd have cut your pie into 4 pieces. So also we have cut our entire plane, our whole board, into 4 pieces. And so because there's 4 of them, we call them the 4 quadrants. Right? Quad means 4. So quadrants are 4 spaces. Just like quadruplets, if you have 4 babies all at the same time. Or your a quadrilateral is something that has 4 sides, right? Quadrants, there are 4 quadrants. That's why we call them quadrants, because there's 4 spaces. Now, we do number them. It's a little tricky. People often forget how we number them, because it's not the way you would normally number something, at least how I would normally number it. We actually start up here. This is quadrant 1, and they always use capital Roman numerals. 1, and then it goes counterclockwise. 2, 3, and 4. So that's how it goes. Starts here and it moves down along that. Okay. I'm going to erase some of this so I have some room for some other work. Let me grab my eraser real quick. Scoot out the frame. Okay. So those are my 4 quadrants. You should most of the star questions I've seen, honestly, they label the quadrants. So I don't know if you have to memorize it so much as you have to know that they exist, that there are 4 of them, and they have different numbers on them. So now the cool thing about this, let's have a story here. Okay, I have Captain Redbeard. He's a pirate, and he has created a treasure map to show himself, remind himself where he has buried his treasure. Now, Captain Redbeard's hideout is on his map. It's right in the middle, and it makes sense because, man, his hideout's a really special place for him. That's where he keeps all his stuff. That's kind of where he runs his pirate business from, and so that is his origin. That's his most special place, and his entire map is built off of that origin. Okay. Now, when he has different treasures and he has different booby traps too, he wants to remind himself where his booby traps are, so he doesn't fall into them and hurt himself. And he also wants to remind himself where his treasures are, so he places them in different places. So he goes out and he buries one treasure. Let's see, we'll make green treasure and red the booby traps. So he puts one treasure, he puts it up here, okay. And he has a booby trap kind of nearby, right here. He's also got a booby trap down here, one over here, and one over here. And he's got another treasure here, another treasure way over here, and another treasure here. Okay. All right. So you can imagine Mr. Redbeard, he's leaving his secret lair, and he's trying to find his treasure. So if he were leaving from his hideout, from the origin, and he wants to get to this treasure right here, how would he get there? Now, here's a kind of funny thing. It would make sense to walk directly there. But that's not how pirates really write their things, right? They don't say, okay, turn and then walk forward. They always have these funny things. They always say, "Arr, walk east toward the sun 5 paces, then turn left, and walk north toward the mountains 4 paces." Right? They always have these weird paces and things. That's kind of the pirate's work. And so we're going to follow his directions according to the pirate language. If he starts from his origin, from his hideout, and we're going to go east or west, right, following the sun. Are we going to go toward the sun in the morning, which is east, or are we going to go away from the sun, which is west? Where are we going to walk? So he's going to say, okay, well, you want to walk 1 pace, but that doesn't get you anywhere near his treasure yet, right? His treasure is right here. So we got to keep walking east. 2 paces. Okay, now you're here. You're still not close enough. Let's walk another pace. 3 paces. Okay, now at this point, if I keep walking another pace forward, I will have passed it, right? We're kind of playing hot and cold. You keep walking forward, that's fine, but now you're getting farther away from your treasure. So his directions say, walk 3 paces toward the east, toward the sun, right? So his directions say 3 paces east. All right, and I know you can't really see that anymore. I'm going to move over a little bit. 3 paces east, and then he says, okay, now you're going to turn and head north. 1 pace, 2 pace, 3 pace, 4, 5 paces north. And then you dig for the treasure. See how that works? So Captain Redbeard can give you this very shortcut. Instead of, he can tell you exactly where to find that treasure by giving you these instructions. He says, all right, start from the secret hideout. Walk 3 paces east. And then head due north 5 paces, and then start digging, and you'll find the treasure. Right? That'll tell you exactly where to find his treasure. There's only one way to move 3 paces east and 5 paces north. There's only one place you could possibly end up at. Every other place would be a different number of steps. Okay? So let's say he also wants to tell you to avoid the red one. Okay? So you would say, definitely do not walk 1, 2, 3, 4 paces east. And from there, definitely do not go up 3 paces. Right? That would get you into trouble. So definitely do not walk 4 paces east. and then 3 paces north. And then now follow from me booby trap, right? Okay, now this is kind of a lot of language. We could abbreviate this, right? Instead of saying 3 paces east, right, let's just assume we're walking. So we don't really need the word paces, right? I don't really lose much information if I say, okay, go 3 east. And I don't really lose information if I say 5 north. Now here's the cool thing. If I say that, look, east is where the sun is, and we're going to call that positive numbers, and west means negative, then I can get rid of the direction too. And north means positive and south means negative. Then I can just say, okay, look, walk positive 3, positive 5. Now here's the thing. The only bad thing is, look, these are both positive. Which one do I do? When I say Redbeard, do I walk 5 up first? And then, what happens? Do I walk 3 up and then 5 east? Because if I did that, if I walk 3 up, 1, 2, 3, and 5 east, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I would have gotten here, and guess what? I would have stepped over that. I would have stepped in the booby trap on my way there, and I definitely would not get to where I needed to get the treasure. So we have to agree on something with Captain Redbeard. It sounds good that this is positive, but which number comes first? Am I going to walk north first, or am I going to walk east first? So Captain Redbeard says, look, this is just the way we're going to do it so we can talk to each other. It doesn't have to be one way or the other, right? It doesn't have to be one way or the other, but just so that we're on the same page and we're talking to each other, we can, you can find my treasure. Let's make it so you always have to go east first. You always walk east or west first, and then you walk up or north or south. Okay, so that is Captain Redbeard's rule. All right, and that's why it exists. Right, so in math, yes, we always, the first coordinate, the first number tells you to go right or left, tells you to go along the x-axis. And then the second number tells you to go up or down along the y-axis. And then just so you know that we are talking about, we're not talking about adding 5 to 3, right? We are talking about a place on the coordinate plane. We like to write it in a special way. We use parentheses and a comma. And that way, when you look at this, you know, by looking at it, hey, it looks pretty special. We got these parentheses, we got this comma. He's talking about buried treasure. He's talking about a point on the coordinate plane. All right, so let's really quickly look at these other treasures. And I'm not even going to deal with the bombs, the booby traps. Well, maybe I'll do one. Let's take a look at this one right here. Okay, so we're trying to get to this treasure. We always start at the same place, always start at his hideout, always start at the origin, and we always start walking east or west first. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. If I go farther than 4, I'm going to pass it. So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to start going up. So I went 4. I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right? I went 9. So my coordinate would be, well, how many did I go over? 4. How many did I go up? I went 9. So my coordinate is going to be almost going to be 4, 9. So here's the thing. If I put 4, 9, you're going to end up actually walking 4 this way, because that's what 4 means. It means to go east. So I need to say, no, don't go east, go west. Go the opposite direction that you went last time. So I need to put an opposite sign in here. I need to put a negative sign. That tells me to go 4 to the left and then 9 up. Right? See how that works. So if I want to do this one down here, right, on this one, if I want to get to this green one, I'm going to start at my origin. I'm going to start walking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to go down 2. 1, 2. So I went over 5 and down 2. So my coordinate right here would be over 5, down 2. Okay. Over 5, down 2, and there's the treasure. So now, Captain Redbeard, all he has to do is write down this very short little thing, negative 4, 9. And that tells him how to find his treasure. Okay. And again, if we wanted to avoid this one right here, since I don't have any treasures in this, all yeah, I do is way over here. There's a quadrant. There's a treasure in this quadrant. So if I started the Captain Redbeard's secret lair, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to the left, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 down. I put those together and I get my coordinate of negative 9, negative 8. That tells me how to get to that treasure. you'll notice a cool little pattern. Because this is 0, 0 right here, all my positives are over on this side, all my positive x's are to the right, all my positive y's are up. That means every time I have two positive numbers in my coordinates, every time it's both the x and the y are positive, it's got to be in quadrant 1. All my positive numbers are over here. Right? 3, 5, they're both positive, and that was in quadrant 1. Right? Anytime my first number is negative, my second number is positive, I've got to be over here in quadrant 2. Anytime both my coordinates, x and y, are negative, I've got to be in quadrant 3. And anytime my first one, my x is positive, my y is negative, I have to be in quadrant 4. So you can tell just by looking at the coordinates of a point, without even plotting it, where and what quadrant that point will be found. 1, 2, 3, or 4. But just to be checking my work, I always like to draw a coordinate plane and actually plot it just to make sure that I'm not getting things confused. All right, the biggest thing people confuse is which one comes first. So always remember, your x comes first. You're going to walk on the ground before you start climbing. All right, you've got to go forward and then start digging. All right. So we learned about how to plot a point. Actually, we learned about how to find the coordinate when we're given a point, and the same kind of thing works if we're going backwards. If I give you a coordinate, I want you to find the point. We can do that as well. All right. So if I give you, here's our plane, and I want you to find the coordinate. I want you to plot. All right. Plot means to graph, to put it onto the coordinate plane. I want you to plot this point. All right. 2, -5. All right. That's simple enough. I always start where? At the origin, at the pirate's hideout. Always start there. That's why it's called the origin, remember? The place where you begin. So I'm going to go right 2, 1, 2, down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and put a point. And that's where it goes. That's 2, -5. Let's do one more. What if I want you to plot the coordinate, -6, 0? Right? So I'm starting my origin. Always start my origin. I'm going to start walking 6. Am I walking to the right or to the left? I'm walking to the left because it's negative. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I go up 0. So if you go up 0, it means you're not going up at all. You're just staying on that line. So that is going to be right there at the intersection of the x-axis with -6. So that is plotting points and reading points off of the grid. And we learned all sorts of vocabulary, and that is that teach. That's pretty much 6.11a.